Okay, come on in. I've got the letters, I'm getting coffee, here we go. Thank you, Abby, one of our many students here. Learning on the job at Sweet and Sour. We've got a terrific lineup for you tonight as well. A Sweet and Sour virgin, Tibor's with us tonight. Tibor's been one of our broadcasters for the last 10 years, and tonight you're going to meet him, although the Perth people have probably met him on many of the programs that he presents. Here we go. These are the letters that our terrific panel will be chatting about. First up, thank goodness someone took the initiative to egg that dangerous fool and accidental Senator Fraser Anning. Second letter tonight, my 19-year-old daughter is with a 42-year-old man. Nothing wrong with that. Often works. Her father writes in, she's driving it. The 42-year-old is married. And the last one tonight. Yeah, he said, she's a good sort, isn't she? And he winked at me and I felt ill because he's the man's husband. And he felt very threatened. And he wants to know what the hell to do. All these letters, a terrific lineup coming your way right now. Sweet and Sour, stay with us.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Lovely to have your company. Gary Mitchell with you for the next fun-filled half hour. Well, it really depends on the comments of our guest. Let's meet him straight away. First up tonight, he's been broadcasting this show for the last 10 years. Tibor, terrific to have you on the show, mate.
Thank you for having me and inviting.
Pleasure, and congratulations on 10 years as a broadcaster with community TV. Sensational.
Exactly, 10 years.
Now
it flies, time always.
Time always flies. But it's not necessarily been an easy gig, is it? Because you're up against all sort of legislative blocks as well.
Yeah,
the fact that we're still going.
Yes, bit of red tape on all that.
Lots.
Yes.
How much hope for the future?
For the future, always hope.
Yay. Always hope.
Always.
Yes. Always hope. Good to have you here, sir. Terrific to finally get you down on the seat. Hello, my mate.
Hello.
Your hair looks fantastic.
Thanks.
That's the shortest anyone at home's ever seen it.
Oh, it's shorter than this. Like I did like a number 2 all over. Like
what?
full like clippers.
You did number... Oh, I get it.
Not number 2 like that.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Why did you do it?
For a film role. So I play a cage fighter in an Australian feature film that I think is going to be out somewhere around
Are we allowed
end
to know
of the
the
year.
name?
Below, as in underneath.
Oh.
I'm in the last 5 minutes of it, so you have to watch the whole film to see me. It's going to be really good, though.
Great to have you back. Lydia,
Gary.
you haven't cut your hair.
I haven't cut my hair. I have gone darker though. I've gone dark. I've changed my hair colour. Yes.
Richer?
Yeah, richer.
Richer?
Warmer.
Darker, is it?
Yeah, it is
Warmer.
a little bit. Yeah.
Warmer.
I've added some warmth to it.
And are you travelling overseas to host other things as I know you did last year again?
I am. In the next month I'll be travelling again overseas to Croatia.
Everybody gets the good gigs. You know that, Tibor, don't you?
Yes, traveling is nice. I love it.
Speaking of good gigs, he's the man from midnight till what time? Till dawn?
Till 5 a.m.
Wow.
Nearly dawn. 5 a.m. Can you
Nice to
5
have you here,
hours?
Jono.
5 hours of drinking coffee, Gary. It's a pleasure to be here in your company and our esteemed guests and the
good to
awesome
have you
audience.
too, sir.
Thank you.
You're a good
Thank
man.
you.
We like having you on the panel. And Travis absolutely loves you. Can we get John back? What about John? Can we have John? What about John?
Travis.
You've got a fan club growing.
Travis is awesome. Good on you, Travis.
Here we
My
go.
favourite one of the crew is you.
I'll introduce you afterwards. Here we go. First letter for the evening. Dear Sweet and Sour, thank goodness someone took the initiative to egg that dangerous fool and accidental Senator Fraser Anning. He should make us all sick, but he doesn't. I was astonished to see so many on Facebook posts supporting Anning and suggesting that the 17-year-old perpetrator, forever to be known as Egg Boy, be charged with assault. In my mind, he collected enough punishment from the fist of Anning. More to the point, and the reason for my letter, is to ask your panel when each of you think Australia lost its sense of appropriate and real protest. Egging as a form of political protest has been around since chickens began laying them, but apparently, according to so many Facebook posts, it's now politically correct. Not politically correct to do so. As one of the protesters who egged then Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser in the 1970s, I am gobsmacked to read how conservative Australians have become. What's happened to us? Writes egg thrower from history, Lyle of Mentone in Victoria. Deanna?
Yeah.
You an egg thrower?
No, but I...
Are you a protester?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I'll protest things if I feel strongly about them. And, you know, look, appropriate and real protest reflects whatever society considers to be appropriate and real at any given time, except a bit further than that, you know? So, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
except more.
Except a bit more. But
except more.
Egg throwing is appropriate in a certain time and place, and maybe it's not now. I mean, really, the 1970s.
Is it assault?
Like, well, consider that in the 1970s, I mean, you watched football in the 1970s, right? And cricket and stuff and like other contact sports, they beat the living daylights out of each other, and they don't do that now because it reflects like social norms and stuff. So protest does the same thing. It like reflects the social norms and pushes the boundaries.
There is a saying that I live by, do your best never to hurt anybody and self.
Yeah.
And an egging is hurting someone.
For sure.
But he did it in a responsible manner because I watched it.
How was that responsible?
No, it was and there's...
Was it pre-cracked?
Yes. Yes, because it could have been quite harmful if it wasn't pre-cracked,
Yeah.
but he did. So
Good on him.
and then
Gentle egging.
Yeah.
Fraser reacted with a punch, and that's
See,
doing
I
harm.
think that's the bigger problem than the egg
Well,
throwing,
the police saw it that
potentially,
way too, but
yeah.
charges didn't go any further. Tibor, what's your take on this one?
Tomato.
Well, tomato is soft.
Rotten tomato.
A rotten
rotten
tomato.
tomato.
Yes, that's
Tomato.
good.
No eggs, tomatoes.
I mean, egg is more expensive, so it's not really what you are throw.
It's about the expense of it.
Yes, the expense, and politicians never were that much to throw the eggs. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
Some tomatoes from the garden.
Tomatoes.
that, like,
tomato
were on
from the
vine for too
garden.
long.
Throw away tomatoes.
We can plant around Parliament House nice tomatoes going up,
Well,
and
you happen
then
to be
just
there
go there.
protesting.
Yes, they go there, protest, and you got the tomatoes and just
Ready
throw
to go.
it.
Do you think Australians have lost their valid sense of protest? Have we become a little bit more subdued when it comes to issues and getting out there and...
I think they are freaking lazy. They're not protesting enough, and they could not protest. They don't know how to do it. They
There's
just
people
do
that
it.
are protesting.
Well, how? Not on the streets.
People are taking the easy road out and going
Not on
onto
the streets.
social media.
Yeah, it depends on what the protest is. But good protest is going there and
Again?
beat the drums.
Again, it reflects society.
Yeah.
You know, so
reflects.
much happens online now. Like, I'm not
it's-
surprised
we're
that's where
lazy.
the protest is happening.
But
Jono, when was the last time you protested anything? You're too good-hearted. I bet you've never protested.
You got to protest, but you can't be doing it with eggs. I believe this whole thing has been exacerbated. When I first heard about it, I thought they were joking. But you know, what comes next? Will he hit him with an omelette? I mean, the whole thing is you can't physically hurt someone. I think protesting is great. Like Gandhi had it right, to use the great man, I think, fairly. Where you're peaceful and you protest, but you can't just sneak up from behind someone and hit them. What if it wasn't an egg? I mean, maybe it was good that it was an egg and it wasn't anything more dangerous. You can't be using eggs.
Last word,
He's
Lydia.
scrambled.
When did you protest last?
Back in the 90s,
Did you really?
we used to demonstrate for 5 years.
Can I ask what the issue was?
The war in Croatia.
Good for you.
For 5 solid years of my youth, we were demonstrating and protesting
Against the war?
against, of course, we're protesting for peace and love, which is what this young man should have done. When I first saw her, I was shocked to see the egg, the senator being hit with the egg, but I have to say I was even more shocked with the senator's reaction. And I don't think it was just a punch, I think it was a kick as well. He went quite hard, if you watch the video or the footage. So both wrong, both went around the wrong way, but I did notice the egg, it was positioned flat. I think he had obviously thought about it, obviously, because he came there with an egg. But he wasn't there to intentionally hurt him. I think it was more of a
He thought about it.
prove
value
a
kind of
point, whereas the senator just went in hard. So
He reacted.
very wrong.
He reacted. We asked our viewers at home, you, to answer this question for us. Should Egg Boy have been charged with assault? And here's what you said.
Egg Boy.
Egg Boy.
That's a good name.
And 41% of you said yes, Egg Boy should have been charged with assault, but the majority, almost 60%, said no, he shouldn't have been charged with assault. And Fraser Anning did not press any charges, neither did the police. When we come back, we've got chat continuing about a 19-year-old woman who's chasing a happily married, with 3 kids, 42-year-old man. Don't go away, more of Sweet and Sour. We're going to have a coffee.
I
Cheers.
can't believe it.
Goodness
You'd have to
me.
have salt with an egg anyway.
Boom, boom.
It's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
It's complex.
Any of that new technology. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you'd like to send us a letter and have it discussed by our panellists, send it to one of these contact points on your screen right now. There they are. They're the 5 contact points. And for everyone that we do like and we do read out and discuss with our panellists, we are going to send you to the movies, courtesy of Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. And the movie we're sending you to this week is Pet Sematary, which I think is a remake of the original.
Scary.
Stephen King novel.
Stephen
Made
King
into
novel?
a film back in like the
That you read?
70s or 80s or something like 80s maybe. Yeah.
That you read?
Yeah, totally.
And you saw the film?
No, I don't watch scary movies.
Yeah,
Neither does John.
No, I don't like scary films. But I like this one though. I'd definitely go and see Pet Sematary.
And
If
Natalie
you won
thanks
tickets.
you. Here we go, home wreck. I don't know what to do here, panellists. My 19-year-old daughter is with a 42-year-old man. Yes, I know that sometimes it works and works superbly. I'm not a stuffed shirt or anything like that, but even my wife feels the exasperation of it all. My daughter is the one doing all the chasing, and you should see her provocative clothing. She's a bulldozer, charging through everything and not hearing anyone. She's always been strong-willed, a strong-willed, headstrong girl, but he must be as weak as water. He's only 6 years younger than me, and we've never met him. We've known about it for 6 months and didn't give it a second thought until we found out that he's still married with 3 kids. And our daughter is doing her best to be a homewrecker. I want to go and see his wife and tell her what's going on. My wife says to just keep it in our family, but I've exhausted all reason with my daughter. So panellists, do I go and see my daughter's boyfriend's wife and spill the beans? What is wrong with kids' ethics today? Because my daughter sure didn't get these values from her parents. Brad of Burnside, a very affluent suburb in South Australia. Lydia.
Firstly, I'm not really opposed to an age gap. Love is love. I think she's 19, he's 42. That is a pretty big age gap. But the other question is, what kind of daddy issues has she got?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's a pretty big age gap and he's older. The fact that he is married with children, that would, and if I was in that position, I would definitely be pulling him up and addressing it with the family, because I think
You'd
that
go
would
around,
be... I would. I
you'd
think
go
that'd
around
be
and see the wife.
I would, if that was my daughter. I'd be just so disgusted in her. I would definitely question my own morals and what I've done, but then parent guilt is something that we always will always have. However, there is another family involved, and I think if you really want to stop this, given that he is married and has a family, I think that's the best bet. I'll be that
All right,
one.
Mr. Nice Guy, what are you going to do here now?
Well, I agree with you, Lydia. Age gap, no problem. That's fine. Love is love. I love that. I'd definitely go see the father. If I was the father, I'd go see the father. 2 fathers together.
Oh.
And meet it. This might not even be real. We've only got the daughter's word. No one's met him. No one knows if it's actually
No, but
happening.
they said they were aware of her.
Aware, yeah, but only
Yeah.
maybe through her.
So you'd go see
I'd go
the
to
guy that she's
yeah,
going out with
Yeah, I'd meet him in the car park.
and say, mate, if you don't put an end to it, I'm going to see your wife.
No, I'd sort it out. With Des and Troy.
Your 2 big Maori mates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or I'd get
They're
my cage
mates
fighter
too.
friend to help out.
We might need those 2 mates for the next letter as well. I've seen what's coming. All right, Tibor, what's your advice here?
It's very hard, John, to beat, love.
Yes,
It's not like,
that's true.
not that simple. Anyway, But, you know, when you got a long lost love, what can you do?
Unrequited love.
However, I don't think there's any problem with the daughter. She wants to have an adventure.
And is that it?
I think
Is it just an adventure? She's going to wreck a home.
The real problem is with the father and the mother of her.
Her father and mother.
That's correct.
They should butt out. She's 19.
Yeah, but
Very liberated man.
what's happened in 19 years?
That's
Wow. Maybe it's an experiment.
Experiment adventure
Yes.
may well be.
Tibor
yes.
is telling you to chill, do nothing.
Now look at yourself.
within yourself.
Yes.
That doesn't really resolve any of the issues, though.
Not really.
short
Not
term.
really
Like,
necessarily.
I get it, and I think it's a really excellent option long term.
He does say also that my daughter sure didn't get these values from her parents.
Well, she got them from somewhere.
Well,
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
your friends have a lot to do with
They
it
came from
now.
somewhere.
Come on, last word here. What's going on?
Look, I would go and see the dad too.
Yeah.
You'd go and see the dad
Oh,
as well.
absolutely. Flat out, no problems. First thing I'd do would be like, go, give me
The
his
boyfriend.
number, give me the
The
phone.
boyfriend.
The boyfriend, that's
The
what I mean.
boyfriend.
The dad in the
Who's-
other
who's the
family.
dad?
The
Yeah,
dad in
yeah,
the other
yeah.
family, right?
Or-
I would call, I'd get his number, I'd give him a call, I'd say, just come have a chat with me, mate. And we'd go and have a beer, right? Or a coffee. And I go, what are you doing? And we'd have a conversation.
Right.
If I wasn't going to see the boyfriend, I suggest to him to adopt my daughter. Then the story is finished.
Adopt a daughter. We asked you at
I don't think he
home to answer
feels
this
like a
question
father
for
towards
us.
her.
Should all supposedly happily married people be off limits in the dating game? And of course you said, to the tune of 92% yes. Only 8% said no. What the hell are you doing at home?
Whatever they want, whatever they want. Listen, Mr. Judgy Pants. Like,
very judgy
people can
pants.
have whatever kind of relationship they like, as long as they're not like, and clearly they're doing it pretty quietly, because there's only 8% of them saying yes.
When we
Had
come
our
back,
advice, though.
we're talking about the neighbours who clearly want to have a relationship with this man's wife.
Ew.
When we come back, don't go away, sweet and sour.
Believe it. Adopt your daughter. Love it.
It's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour.
They will. Oh, we're on. We're back. Last letter of the evening. Here we go. Hello, Sweet and Sour. What happens now? We've just moved in only 2 months ago. And in the last month, the young men who live next door wolf whistle and heckle my wife every time she either arrives or leaves home or just happens to be in the front yard. She's very attractive, and at first it didn't bother her, but she started to feel a bit menaced as the three men next door were a little tipsy one Sunday afternoon, began stripping off and making obscene suggestions. When I got home a little later, she was still very shaken after having to run inside and lock herself in. I went over to complain. One of them who towered over me answered the door and seemed to listen as I told him that their behaviour unnerved my wife. Then he smiled and said, "Yeah, she's a good sort, isn't she?" And he winked at me. I felt ill and left.
So much drama.
Nothing happened for a while, and then they started again. One came over, had a chat and tried apologising, explaining that they're just having some harmless fun, as they see it. It still happens, but now with a smile. I'm uneasy because I know one drunken episode and they could simply get out of hand and become aggressive. What can I do here, please? And it comes to us from Kite. Great name, Kite. Never met a Kite before. Of Greenwood in WA. Tibor, first up on that one, what do you do?
What you do? Good question. Not easy to answer. I mean, obviously, something serious is happening around here and something is wrong with those three boys. So, probably need to report somewhere.
You'd report it.
Yes, if they're not stopped. Got 2 discussions, nothing is changed, no stopping. So you have to put some weight somewhere.
Would you give them a warning first? And so I'm going to report it if it...
I think they got the warnings.
Yeah.
They've already
a few
had the
times,
warning.
yes.
Is that where you are too? They've already had the warning?
But, like, it's not his job. She needs to call the cops. If he calls the cops,
Because she's
like, you know, look, it's
very much,
fine
yes.
for him to call,
Yeah,
I guess.
I agree.
You know, like it keeps some sort of documentation of it. But really, if she wants proper impact as a result of her complaint, she needs to do it herself. It will have much more
If she's
power
too
coming
scared
from
to do
her.
it?
Why would she be too scared to call the police and go, hey, the guys next door are just like being disgusting?
Step up and call the cops.
Yeah, totally.
Ever had a situation like this happen to you?
Yeah, sort of. Like in a nightclub once, a guy got really handsy with me, but I turned around and shoved him really hard in the chest, and then he went away.
Cage fighter style.
Good for you.
Sort of, like pokey finger.
Yeah.
I got
We are-
really angry, actually.
We asked our viewers at home, if you call the police on your neighbours, is the relationship irretrievably ruined? Here's what she said.
Probably.
55% said yes, and 45% of people said no. Well, how do you get over that? I have absolutely no idea. You've just called the cops on someone
Maybe
next
if it's for
door.
a party or something. Like if someone's having a noisy party and the neighbours call the cops on them, no one cares about that stuff.
And no one knows who's called
yeah,
the
totally,
cops.
Including the
totally.
cops.
Yeah, including the cops, right? So
But
it's
this
not
is a
big deal.
different situation.
Yeah, absolutely. This
Because
is
they're
like
gonna
flat out
know-
finger pointing.
Who called the cops?
Well, they're good people and they're forgiving and they're moving on.
Have you been talking to TIBOR?
We're neighbours.
So you've just given them the benefit of the
He
doubt.
called them once, I've called them once, and we're all good. We get along now. Look, we're sitting on the same panel. I think with my fellow panellists, I definitely think report it. I do think if the wife is up to it, to perhaps confront them herself and just let them know how she's feeling, how uncomfortable she feels, perhaps have her husband by her side. But as TIBOR said, the husband at least has confronted them and spoke to the boys about it. So next step, if it doesn't improve, report it.
Would you feel threatened if your neighbours started wolf whistling at you?
No, I think it'd be cute at first, but if you got too much, you know, you can only play Mrs. Robinson for so long.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought of it like that.
Jono, you can take the Dustin Hoffman role.
Oh, really? that's great. Case of bad neighbours, very bad. Is it okay to be less attractive? Is that an infringement of someone's rights? Can she be less attractive and therefore de-escalate the situation? Is that okay?
No,
So you're
that's not even an okay thing to suggest. People get to
make it-
dress
to play
and look
herself down.
however the hell they want. Why on
Absolutely.
earth should she play down any part
Agreed.
of herself
Couldn't agree more.
to appease some children next door?
Yeah.
That is.
All I
some
know
brats.
is when Rambo wore the American flag, he got kicked out of town and that started it. And if he'd have just covered up, it would have been no problem. That's all I'm saying.
There's your answer.
That's all I'm saying.
Call Rambo.
All I'm saying.
Good to have you on the show tonight, John. We've got to go. Say good night to all our viewers at home.
Bye.
Lydia,
Come back again.
terrific to have you.
Thank you. Fantastic to be here.
Nice to have you. And if you're not skating around the world somewhere, we'll have you back soon.
Can't wait.
What's the name of that bottom?
Below.
Below. Well, below.
below.
So we're watching
Yeah.
for below.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here.
so much
TIBOR,
fun.
congratulations and another 10 years to you, sir, at least.
Thank you.
Good to have you on the show. Did you enjoy your time here?
Of course I did, yes.
Well, now it's over and we've got to go. Everybody wave. Thank all of our wonderful panellists. Thank our crew
Nice
here
job,
at
guys.
Central. And good night, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.